if there's any snitches in the group, we kill the snitches and they fire shots out of a gun. Boom, boom, and everybody's kind of getting scared.
It's a humid night in 2007. Deep in the backwoods of Florida, a group of men gather in a circle. They're wearing white robes. There's a burning cross. The fire reflects off their faces. And in the center of that circle, wearing the same robes, reciting the same oath, is a man working for the FBI. His name is Joe Moore, former Army sniper, father of 4. And at this exact moment, he is one handshake away from being discovered and killed. He has no weapon, no backup within earshot, no instruction manual, because no one had ever done what he was about to do. Confirmed. This is a real story, documented in Moore's 2024 memoir, White Robes and Broken Badges, Infiltrating the KKK and Exposing the Evil Among Us, corroborated by the FBI's own records, courtroom transcripts from 2017, and the ABC News/Hulu documentary, Grand Nighthawk, Infiltrating the KKK, which features rarely heard undercover audio and video, recorded while Moore wore a live wire inside the Klan. This isn't Hollywood. This happened. The primary authority here is Joe Moore himself, a former Army sniper who was selected for sniper school as an enlisted private, a distinction earned by fewer than 2% of applicants, and former FBI Supervisory Special Agent Paul Brown, who oversaw portions of the operation and later confirmed on record there was absolute intent to see this carried out.
The book carries a foreword by U.S. Congressman Jamie Raskin. It has been reported on by NPR's Fresh Air, ABC News, and cited in domestic terrorism studies. This is not fringe history. This is recent. This is America. Let's go back to the beginning, because to understand Joe Moore, you need to understand what he walked into. The KKK, the Ku Klux Klan, operates in a cell-based structure the FBI classifies as a decentralized domestic terrorist network. Each cell is called a clavern. Members are ranked. There are Klegels, Claliffs, Cluds, titles designed to sound ancient, sacred, unchallengeable. The specific chapter Moore infiltrated was affiliated with the true American Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, or TAKIK, an active Florida faction that, as of 2007, was recruiting law enforcement officers, not just tolerating them, actively recruiting them. And this is where the story gets dark. Because what Moore discovered inside that clavern wasn't just hatred, it was infrastructure. Police officers, prison guards, a sheriff's deputy, men with badges by day and white robes by night, men who knew how to kill, men who knew how to make it look like an accident.
The KKK uses an internal language system, a series of coded acronyms and challenge phrases specifically designed to expose infiltrators. When Moore first attended a meeting, members used what he later described as loyalty stress tests. Questions with no correct public answer. Questions whose answers only long-term Klansmen would know. One wrong word, and the man next to you would know you were a spy. Moore passed, every time. He spent his first year doing nothing but listening, memorizing, becoming. He listened to the music they listened to. He wore a specific hat, a kind of uniform within a uniform that marked him as one of them when he walked through the door. He had no instruction book. The FBI had never placed an informant this deep before. Then, in 2007, the year Barack Obama announced his candidacy for President of the United States, everything changed. Members of the Clavern began talking openly about assassination. Obama's rise was treated inside these meetings as an existential threat. According to Moore, the conversation shifted from ideology to logistics, from hatred to planning. Moore wore a wire.
No, when he gets out.
The recordings captured Klansmen discussing the specific method they would use to approach Obama. The FBI, receiving Moore's intelligence in real time, moved swiftly. The plot was disrupted. The Secret Service was briefed. And a man who would become the 44th President of the United States never knew how close the danger had come. Moore nearly lost his life in the process.
After that first 3-year operation ended in 2010, he became violently ill, a fever that spiked to dangerous levels, his body finally surrendering to the psychic weight of the double life. There's no clinical term for what happens to a human being who spends 3 years pretending to be someone he despises. But Moore described it simply: I had to embody this other person completely. Then, in 2013, the FBI called again. We need you back. And he went. His second infiltration lasted 2 years. This time, Moore rose even higher inside the Klan's hierarchy. He was appointed Grand Nighthawk, the officer responsible for internal security, defense, and communications for the Klaverin across Florida and Georgia. In other words, the KKK made the FBI's spy their head of counterintelligence. The irony is almost too sharp to process. It was during this second operation that Moore's wire captured something chilling. 2 Klansmen, one named David Moran, an active law enforcement officer, and one named Charles Newcomb, a former law enforcement officer with decades of service, were recorded discussing the murder of a specific black man. Their target had a name. He had a mother.
That mother, Linda Crowley, later told ABC News, "The KKK wanted to catch my son, cut him up in pieces on the creek, and leave him there." But here is the detail that freezes the blood. Newcomb, the former cop, had medical knowledge. According to Moore's recorded testimony, Newcomb knew that a specific drug, if injected in the correct dosage, would kill a person and leave no trace in a standard autopsy. And Newcomb already had that drug, preloaded into needles. This was not a fantasy. This was a plan, scheduled, staffed, resourced. Moore immediately contacted his FBI handlers. The Bureau formulated a response. Moore continued meeting with Moran and Newcomb, drawing out more detail, more specificity, more evidence, everything prosecutors would need. In 2017, Klan officials were successfully prosecuted. Moran and Newcomb were arrested and convicted. The target, a living man who never knew how close death had come, went home to his family. But there is something that lingers long after the convictions are handed down, something that doesn't resolve neatly. Joe Moore spent 5 years of his life becoming a monster so that real monsters could be stopped. He sat in rooms where men planned murders. He laughed at the right moments. He wore the robes. He earned the rank. And every single day, he carried a secret so heavy that when it was finally over, his body gave out. What does that cost? What does it cost a person to hollow themselves out in service of justice? And here is the question that should keep you awake. The men planning these murders, the ones with preloaded syringes and police badges, they weren't fringe outsiders. They were inside the system. They were the system. David Moran was an active law enforcement officer. The people sworn to protect the public were meeting in the dark to plan its destruction. If Joe Moore hadn't gone in, if there had been no one willing to pay that price, what would have happened to that man by the creek? And how many Klaverins are there right now, in how many states, where no one has gone in yet? That's not a rhetorical question. That's the one we need to answer.